Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Chainsaw. I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
We are doing a horror comedy, pretty modern. I think it came out this year on HBO Max, The Parenting, with a whole bunch of stars in it. Craig, you recommended this movie. Obviously, I hadn't seen it.
I like doing new things and modern things that people are maybe talking about and interested in, even though I know that we get way more hits on the more obscure films that we cover. I know that's true.
Yeah,
I still like to do, I like keeping up with the things that are coming out. I don't have many people to talk to about these things except for you and like the patrons. So
Alan doesn't want to hear it, does he?
No, I couldn't even get him to watch this one with me. I think I've just come to the realization that Alan just doesn't like watching movies. Like, I think he's become part of the younger generation who just doesn't have the patience for them. Like,
wow.
If he can't absorb the content in like 30 minutes, an hour max, he's out. If I can convince him to watch a movie, we have to watch it in shifts. Like, we can't sit and watch it from beginning to end. We have to watch like a half an hour at a time or an hour at a time. I was surprised that I couldn't get him to watch this because it is a comedy. And I would say first and foremost, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a horror movie too, for sure. But it's a comedy and it stars multiple people that we are huge fans of. And I'm just going to get right out of the gate and say, I thought it was fucking hilarious. And I'm worried about how to talk about it because so much of the comedy comes from the combination of the writing and the delivery.
Yeah.
Me trying to tell you why it's funny is not going to do it justice. You're just going to have to take my word for it.
And that's our podcast, folks.
I will try. Both of us will try to, talk about the movie, but I don't think I can do it justice. Maybe you can. I shouldn't speak for you.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that Alan didn't want to watch this or you couldn't get him to watch it because it's such a shame because it seems like it might be right up his alley. Because like you said, it is first and foremost a comedy. I mean, it feels like a sitcom almost. And like you said, all these stars, all of whom I really enjoy. Lisa Kudrow just has a way of delivering everything to make it sound hilarious.
Lisa Kudrow is one of those... She's one of those rare actors, and there's a lot of them. And I would argue that Parker Posey is, what an oxymoron I just said, one of those rare actors that there's a lot of. But Parker Posey is kind of like this too, in that Lisa Kudrow is always Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah.
But it's always funny.
Yeah.
Like, it just always works. I don't know why. It's just that she's so quirky and so funny that she just works. And Parker Posey is much the same. Like, Parker Posey will play more with, I'm watching White Lotus right now, which she's in, and she's hilarious in that too. And she's got this funny affected Southern accent. It's hilarious. And she was great in all of those, I can't think of the guy's name, but all of those Guffman movies. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. Christopher Guest movies.
Yeah, all those. She's great. She's hilarious. And she's in this, and she's hilarious in this too. And you're right. I'm sorry I'm talking too much. I'm just excited about this movie. Alan would love this movie. I'm going to make him watch it eventually because he would.
Yeah.
Because it's really funny.
And it's not that scary. It's really not scary. I mean, it's one of those movies that's too much of a comedy to be scary at all. And it's not trying to be, I think.
No.
And you're right. I think part of the reason why it works is I think these jokes were written for these people. The writer is Kent Sublette. He's been a writer for Saturday Night Live for almost 20 years. And this is really the only film, I think, that he's written. The director, Craig Johnson, has done a bunch of stuff, but nothing, I think, of note. I'd be pleading my ignorance here.
He did a movie called The Skeleton Twins.
Okay. With
Kristen Wiig and Stefan. I can't think of his real name.
Bill Hader?
Yeah. And it, too, had elements of comedy, but it was a dark comedy. But those two actors were absolutely phenomenal in it, and I loved that movie. I highly recommend it. It's not horror at all, but it's really, really good. So when I saw that he had done that, I was looking forward to it. I don't know that I will necessarily have a lot to say about the direction.
Right. Because it's really just directed like a TV show or a sitcom there's nothing particularly notable about it because it's not really it's not a stylish movie.
No.
It's just, it's not trying to be. It's just a comedy.
Yeah.
I think that oddly enough, this movie isn't getting a lot of love. Pretty low rated on Rotten Tomatoes. And it seemed like people were just saying, oh, it's not scary, or I didn't think it was that funny, or it was corny or something. I don't know. I don't really get it. Maybe there were expectations. going into it that weren't fulfilled. Maybe people really wanted something scarier or gorier, or
I guess.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what more you want from a comedy. You know what I mean? Like, I think it works.
Those types of reviews frustrate me because why are you criticizing something for something that it's not trying to be? Like, appreciate it for what it is or not. And if you genuinely don't like it, that's fine. Whatever. But if you're saying it's not scary enough, well, it's not trying to be scary. That's not the point. The horror elements in the movie, which there are, and they're well executed, but they're there to service the comedy. It's not the other way around.
Right.
This is a movie where you place wacky,
cartoonish people.
Yeah. The movie has been described as Meet the Parents in a haunted house.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
100%.
So you take a comedy like that and you take these eccentric characters and put them together. And so there's going to be all of that business anyway. And then throw in the haunted element. And so you have all of these comedic characters reacting to a haunted house. And it's funny. Is it scary? No. Are the air quotes scary parts of it executed well? I certainly thought so.
They are.
But
they're played for laughs.
Yeah.
Even the scary parts are played for laughs. And also, I think a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I never felt like emotionally connected, or those moments didn't hit." I'm like, what do you want? Come on, this is not. There's too much going on here for this to become some deep, heartfelt moment anywhere in this movie. And there's an attempt at it. There's a little bit, but I don't really think the movie's terribly concerned with that either. I suppose when you compare it to Meet with the Parents, that is a comedy where at some point, it kind of comes to a head and there's deep emotion and the characters are really allowed to, like, I don't know, get over these feelings or these difficulties with each other, and there's a catharsis and there's an arc and all that. I don't think this movie was ever going that direction. I never expected it to go that direction. And so you can't cram everything in. You can't have this wacky screwball horror comedy, with this deep, heartfelt thing and these characters that come together and, oh, I care so much for them, and still have these, SNL style jokes going and the scary. What do you expect? It's a light-hearted comedy, and I didn't have high expectations for it, and I ended up laughing and enjoying it. And I thought it went to some interesting directions. I thought it did some kind of newish things.
I agree with most everything that you said, except for I do think that this movie has an emotional arc.
It does. It's just not.
It's a story.
Deep.
No, it's not deep, but I still think it's poignant.
It is.
It's a story about these. It's the tale as old as time of these two people. In this case, it happens to be a young gay couple, which I didn't know going into it, and I was really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
It's this young, good-looking gay couple, Rowan and Josh, and they're both young, good-looking guys. I don't really know much about them, but they're coming together. They've rented a house so that they can introduce their parents to one another, because Josh doesn't know it at first. He finds out within the first 10 minutes of the movie, but Rowan's planning on proposing. So, this is a meet the family kind of movie, which is cute. And it's the classic thing where, it's almost Meet the Parents exactly.
Yeah.
One family, Rowan's family, his adoptive parents, are very successful and like straight-laced and clean-cut and waspy.
A little reserved.
Yeah.
Dad doesn't tell him he loves him, that kind of thing.
Right. And then Josh, his parents are, I wouldn't go so far as to call them like hippies, but they're just more normal, I guess. I relate much more to them. They're a little quirky, not even really that quirky.
No.
They're just kind of down to earth, not concerned as much as the other family. You get the picture. They're setting these families up to be kind of opposites. And what I think about the emotional arc of it is that Rowan's family, who thinks that they're perfect because in appearance they are, they're really not. And Josh's family, who kind of looks like a mess, really, when it comes down to it, as far as family is concerned, they've got it together. So they learn from each other. And in the end, there is, I think, kind of an emotional catharsis where, I don't know, I thought it was emotional.
Well, there is, don't get me wrong, there's that there, and I think maybe this gets to the heart of some of that criticism. It's not a big gap. Unlike Meet the Parents, these are not cartoonishly opposite families. There's not incredible conflict between them when they meet. They're generally like normal-ish people where even though they're different, they're trying to get along, and they more or less are, and they're apologizing to each other and they're giving each other space. And so it's not one of those crazy situations where these complete opposite families clash together and there's all this ridiculousness that happens because of it. And I was fine with that. I didn't need to see that either, right? In fact, I think that would be more cliche. I thought it was kind of refreshing that, this felt like a little more of a normalish situation where, look, I mean, these parents, as opposite as they may be, they both have gay sons that they accept and clearly love. So there's not any of this weirdness of, oh my gosh, he's your boyfriend. Oh my gosh, I'm not really cool with this, or any of that you would normally see in a movie like this.
I don't know, man.
That's going for all that conflict.
I don't know. Maybe we come from very different perspectives, but I didn't see it like that at all. This is the first time that Rowan has ever brought a boy home. And I think that he's very nervous about it.
He is.
And I think that it has very much to do with the fact that he's gay. And he's concerned about how his parents, I mean, they know he's gay, obviously, but this is the first time that he's ever presented them with a relationship, which is a big deal.
Well,
and I think that there is unspoken tension between him and his father, especially.
Well, there's that. He expresses the concern, but I didn't really see that displayed on the screen in a... I mean, yeah, okay, there's a little bit of uncomfortability, but it kind of gets overshadowed by jokes and situation, after a point where it never seems like it's a big issue that gets explored. It seems more like a setup than anything else. I don't know, maybe I just didn't see it, or maybe I just didn't feel that at all when I was watching this.
It could have just as easily been a straight relationship, and the concerns and tensions might have felt and presented themselves in a similar way.
Right.
I don't know. Again, maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's my gayness. Like
You're hypersensitive or something.
Well, no, I got it. Like there's going to be that layer there of introducing your parents to somebody who you're hoping to assimilate into your family. I mean, that's
right.
But then the gay thing is just a whole other layer. And there does seem to be his dad, not that his dad seems to be a bad guy, but he's reserved. He's older, like he's older than my parents. He looks to be in his late 60s or 70s. So I'm sure, and the mom too, the mom, by the way, is played by Edie Falco, who she's known for The Sopranos, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, which I never watched.
No, me neither.
But she's hilarious. She is so funny. Both her and her husband are the straight man. But she's hilarious too. I guess the point I'm making is, I don't know what point I'm making.
No, you're saying that it's there. I mean, I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying I feel like it's not a big part of the plot. Ultimately, it's not.
But it is.
I mean, look,
because the dad eventually gets possessed. This is a haunted house movie.
Yeah.
And when the dad is possessed, the demon inside him starts hurling horrible homophobic things at the boys. At first, they don't know he's possessed. And then even after they know he's possessed, that is something that troubles them. I don't know. The son sometimes says things like they talk when they try to communicate with him. They'll say like, I'm talking to the real you. I'm talking to the person inside.
Yes.
I know you're not really saying these things. But I really just think that tension is intentional, and whatever, we can get over it.
Well, no, it's fine. I just feel like, and that moment in particular kind of deflates it, right? At the moment where he realizes they're possessed and he says, I know this isn't the real you, I was like, oh, okay. I felt that way. I'm like, if this son recognizes, or, you could say he's saying it in a hopeful manner, but the way I took it, he was saying that realizing, oh, you're demon possessed. And we know from movies that possessed demons say ridiculous things to try to get us angry. And so I feel like the movie kind of brushes that aside, gives an excuse for it. Look, I mean, again, I'm acknowledging there is a little bit of tension there. I'm just saying, unlike a movie like Meet the Parents, where that is the antagonizing, the inciting incidents all stem from this. That's kind of a side thing, but the movie really isn't about that. I think. I mean, it's ostensibly trying to be a little bit about that. You know, obviously they do provide this character arc where eventually dad hugs and says, I should tell you I love you more often. I really do accept you. Son says, I know, Dad, thank you. They all love and embrace and everybody's happy. So it does go from awkwardness to that. But I don't see that hill, that mountain that they climbed as being that steep, I guess is what I'm trying to say. At least I didn't feel like the movie presented it that way. It was way more concerned with cracking some jokes that were not related to any of that. And, you know, all this craziness with the possession and whatnot. And I think maybe that is why some people criticize this movie, is because they're like, oh, I just didn't feel that deep emotional connection. I didn't feel that, you know, the characters were real enough for me to care about this predicament that they're in. That's how I read it anyway. But it has it. I mean, it's sweet, it's nice, and it's cute, and that's all it is as far as I'm concerned. It's sweet, and it's nice, and it's cute, and it's got this happy ending, and everybody kind of changes a little bit. And
Right. I mean, it's typical in that way. I mean, it's formulaic in that way.
It's not different in that way, I think.
No, I think filmmakers are clever to take something that we are familiar with and throw a wrench in it. Like in this case, you know, throw a haunted house in it, throw a possession in it, and see how these people would respond. And it's very, very funny. There's a cold open where we see this house and there's this family, and I don't know, the teenage daughter won't come out of her room for dinner or something, and she's got a brother.
Mom's preparing dinner. I think this cold open really sets you up for the kind of movie this is going to be, because it is this very, very stereotypical 1983 house, right? Where it's still coming out of the 70s. There's wood paneling on the walls and brightness, and she's watching the end of MASH on TV. Mom is cooking, but it's also kind of cartoonish because she's so styled and so perfect, and everything is so properly in its place. The thing that struck me about this more than anything else was the Catalina salad dressing. Did that mean anything to you?
I mean, I remember it. It was good.
This is one of those things I'm like, whatever happened to that? Like, somebody remind me of Catalina salad dressing. I'm like, oh yeah, that was like one of our 3 or 4 staples. And
it was basically just ketchup.
It's totally gone. Yeah, it was like thinned out ketchup in a way. But I'm telling you, and this is a secret, that maybe if we ever become popular enough, this recipe is going to spread. If you want the best taco salad in your life, you just crush up. All right, so you take, you chop up lettuce, you put the diced tomatoes in, you get like shredded cheddar cheese, throw that in there, you brown up some taco meat, you toss that in, you crush up nacho cheese Doritos, and you throw that in, and then you top it all off. All right, you need a big bowl of this with an entire thing of Catalina salad dressing. Mix it in there so you have like a super wet taco salad. I am telling you, that combination works like you would not believe. You are welcome. Trust me on this one. Just try it sometime. There's something about it that works. And only from this movie was I reminded that recipe even existed. But that was a staple of our campouts when I was growing up.
What's even funnier is I'm pretty sure you've told me about this before. Like, you are really passionate about this recipe.
I guarantee you, anytime I've seen Catalina salad dressing, I have to evangelize a little bit.
Oh, gosh.
Because nobody remembers it. I hope they still sell it.
In the cold open, all you see basically is this, the mom knocks on this teenage girl's door and she won't come out, and the wallpaper starts peeling behind her. Something weird is going on. She goes back downstairs. She's in her kitchen. The pantry door opens and a demon arm reaches out and grabs her. And then a demon also takes the teenage son. And the last you see is the teenage girl, like, scared, huddling in a corner, screaming as though the demon is about to take her too.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a haunted house. All right. Then we meet our couple, and they're so cute. Like, Rowan is stiff. He's the product of his environment. He's anxious. He's concerned about appearances. Josh, on the other hand, is footloose and fancy free. He's a musician. He's recently quit his job. I think he was like a salesman or something. I don't know. But he's quit his job to be a musician, but he doesn't really do much. He just kind of jams with his friends. And so it's cute. I love these romantic stories where they're very different, but and there's a little bit of conflict, in their relationship, but it's stuff that they're willing to work with each other on because they love each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. They may be different. They come from different backgrounds, but they love each other. And you can tell that it reads in the movie. It's sweet, romance.
And I never felt that was in jeopardy, ever.
No. Mm-mm.
Right.
I was concerned about the family dynamic and knew that could potentially be, and that's very real too. I mean, that's real for anybody who's in a relationship. You know, you marry into families, and sometimes that works out really well and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But they're cute and they're funny, and, you know, they just have small talk so that we can get to know them. And I don't remember which of them is asking the other one, but one of them's like,
okay, would you rather have a cat that can talk,
okay,
but all it can say is fuck it?
So it just walks around all day saying fuck it?
All day. Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. Or a cat with a human butt.
Okay, is it a sexy butt like mine?
No, it's very saggy.
Ew. Well, can it wear pants?
Just decide, because it's not really happening. So.
Wait, so this fuck it cat, is it chill like, fuck it, I'm down for whatever? Or is it more like, fuck it, I don't want to live anymore?
What is wrong with you? Did you take a gummy?
I don't even have any gummies. I'm just having fun.
What was that? That is the most random thing. Oh my God.
I think it's hilarious. Like, they talk about it for a while. Like, it's just a funny way of establishing that they're cute and fun and they have a good relationship. Okay. So then they get there and they're met by the property manager, Brenda, played by Parker Posey, who I have been a fan of since the early 90s. She was in so many great indie movies in the 90s. She's still working. She's very eccentric and she looks very eccentric. They comment on it. They're like, is that a wig? Is that 2 wigs? Like, she may be wearing 2 wigs. I don't know. She's very eccentric, but she tells them that there was a fire in the 1980s and the family, she said, the family didn't live. Oh, I mean, they couldn't live here anymore. And she takes them in and she gives them a tour and she's like, I don't know. I just wrote down all these lines just out of context. They don't even make any sense, but she's like, she offers them refreshments. She's like, wine and a meat stick? Yum. Like, it's just
so silly.
The silliest stuff.
And the Wi-Fi password.
She gives them the Wi-Fi password and says, this is going to be really important. And I feel like one of them starts to read it off and there's a noise, like
yes,
a thump in the background or something.
Real anxious to get out.
Yeah, and she's anxious to get out. She tells them good luck with the parents. There's a short scene that I guess is important because Rowan calls his friend Sarah. There was a term for these women that we used to use when I was in college, but it doesn't seem very nice anymore, so I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to say straight women who are really close friends with gay men.
Right.
She's one of those women. And he's nervous, and she tells him not to propose. I don't remember why.
Well, it is a bit of a tall order, right? Like, he's bringing this guy home to introduce him for the first time, and he's also going to propose right there in front of all of them. I mean, it's kind of a dumb idea, really.
Oh, I thought it was romantic.
I don't know. If you're a little concerned that your parents are going to be accepting, you might want to take things a little bit slower.
I guess. I mean, you can always abort, like, if things aren't going well, you can...
Again, that's why I didn't really believe it too much. You know what I mean?
Fine. The only other funny thing, before the parents arrive, they go outside. I don't remember why. And they find Brenda clearly drawing a circle in the dirt around the house. And I don't even remember what excuse she gives. Did she say she's like sweeping or something? Like, it's just a big...
Measuring for a sprinkler system.
And she's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5. Okay.
Yeah. Units.
Oh, God.
I love these horror comedies where they do these obvious, like, goofy setups and little hints that something's not right, that the characters are oblivious to.
The comedy comes from the fact that we know we're watching a horror movie, but they don't. Like, if you were in their shoes, if that were me and Alan, I'd be like, what the f*** was she doing?
Weird,
but I certainly wouldn't think she was drawing a spell circle around the house. Right. I don't know. Whatever. Sarah accidentally, I think she was trying to text Rowan, but she accidentally texts Josh about the proposal, and it's so obvious that she can't even get out of it. So now he knows and he's excited about it, but he's, keeping the secret or whatever. And then the parents show up. And, all of this is really just set up for establishing tension and then introducing the haunted house stuff. And like I said, I can tell you what happens, but I can't do it justice. The humor is in the dialogue and in the interaction.
Right.
So just explaining what happens does it no justice at all. Honestly, I mean, you're already a half an hour in and we're barely gotten started talking about the plot. But if you're really interested in watching this movie, just watch it first and come back to us.
Yeah.
Because I think that will be a better experience. This isn't going to do a lot for you. But his parents are Sharon, played by Edie Falco, who is hilarious. Again, she plays the straight-laced, hard-ass matriarch of this family, but she's so funny in the way that she does it. And the dad is Frank, played by Brian Cox. I don't know. Do you know him from stuff? Like, he's obviously been around forever. I recognize him, but...
Oh, yeah, he's been in a million things. I mean, he was in, I don't know, man. Like, he's been acting since the 70s, and he's got parts in everything. A Long Kiss Goodnight, Glimmer Man.
Yeah.
Just For the Love of the Game. He's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, all of them have been in a ton of stuff.
Oh, Brian Cox, man. He was in Trick or Treat. He was the old guy, Mr. Krieg, who has to battle the Sandheim, the little guy.
Oh, gosh. He looks different in that.
I don't know. When you think about it, not too different.
No, I don't know.
He's got hair. He's got more hair in that movie.
Again, yeah, I believe you because I've seen him in a million things. He's very familiar, as are Josh's parents, his mom, Liddy. And there's a hilarious joke. Like when the mothers are introduced, Sharon, Rowan's mom, like can't wrap her head around Liddy's name. Like she just can't get it.
Hi, we are Sharon and Frank. Liddy. Hi, Libby.
No, it's Liddy, like lid of a jar.
Short for Lydia?
It's actually short for Elizabeth.
Wouldn't that be Libby?
Well, it could be, but I'm Liddy. So, like the canned vegetables.
That's Libby's.
Call it whatever you want. I'm Cliff, like the rock that you fall off, break your neck, and die.
They kind of clash immediately. Like their personalities are just so opposite. And Lisa Kudrow, I love. I've already mentioned, I've talked about her already, but of course from Friends, but she's done a lot of film work. One of the most impressive things I've seen her in, I won't be able to remember the name of the movie, but it was about John Holmes and the murders that he was involved with.
Oh,
tangentially. And she played his wife. John Holmes was married before he got into porn and then got into porn while he was still married. Lisa Kudrow played his wife and it was a dramatic role. And she was still Lisa Kudrow, but if you want to see her in kind of something different, I was very impressed with her performance.
Oh.
And like I said, they're my people.
Yeah.
They're quirky. They're down to earth. They're funny. I don't know. They seem very normal to me, but as compared to the other parents, they're a little bit wacky.
Mm.
They're wacky in the way that she shows up with a dish. Like she brought food and she's like, here, I made my crazy noodles.
The crazy
I
noodles.
know this woman. I'm friends with this woman. This is not eccentric to me. These are the people that I hang out with.
Uh-huh.
And they brought with them 3 little dogs that aren't even their dogs. Like she's dog sitting for somebody. And she's like, her son's like, well, what are their names? She's like, oh, I don't know. Frick, frack, and if I know. And she's just funny like that.
I thought it was very smart. Later on, it becomes kind of obvious why these dogs, they don't belong to them because there isn't that emotional aspect of bad things happening to these dogs that the characters care about ultimately.
Right now. It's funny. They're comic relief. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it keeps it light.
Yeah, it keeps it light. But then, okay, so now they're all there. And we see somebody, I mean, who's it going to be? It's Brenda, obviously. We see a hand shaking a snow globe with the house inside and stirring up the snow. And it immediately starts snowing there at the house.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of family stuff that goes on. Like Liddy accidentally spills the beans that Josh has lost his job and says that, he's a songwriter and she encourages him to sing, which he does, which is so cringy. Like, I actually really enjoy just the comedy parts. Like, there are so many parts of this movie, especially up till now, where really nothing scary has been introduced. And I am still 100% into this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would have watched this movie if it weren't a horror movie.
Yeah.
If you took that element out and it was just this family comedy, I still would have enjoyed it. it's not like I was invested in the characters in an emotional way, but I believed them. And I believed their circumstances. I understood Rowan's anxiety about how his parents were going to react, not only to Josh, but to his family. I felt that emotional investment. But the reason that I brought that up is because a lot of stuff happens that's just family interaction. My favorite one is when Josh and Rowan are not arguing, but disagreeing with how to deal with their parents or whatever. And Rowan says something like, well, whatever you do, don't just bring up my mom's pussy again. And Josh is like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And then he opens the door and it's a bathroom door, and Rowan's mother is sitting spread eagle on the toilet, just
Staring at
and they
her.
all just stare at each other for a second, and finally Josh was like, oh, I'm sorry, and closes the door. It's just that funny like, I don't even remember what Josh says at that point. Like, what am I going to do about it? I don't know. He tries to bring it up again later, and she just pretends she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I'm sorry about what happened. She's like, what are you talking about? He's like, upstairs. She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, she's just to ignore it. Silly little things like that to establish family dynamics.
Yeah. Well, I guess what really basically happens now that all this is established is they're getting on the Wi-Fi, and the father reads the Wi-Fi password out loud because it's kind of odd. It's like 3 Latin words.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the trick. That is the trick that she had, because you have to say these words, which in English mean, I welcome you into me, or something like that. And that's the thing.
Take me, something like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing that brings the demon out and possesses Rohan's dad. And so now he is possessed, and hijinks ensue.
Yeah, they have a dinner, which is really funny. Josh, because he's anxious, takes 3 gummies, which that's a lot. So he's baked anyway, and they're having this kind of awkward dinner. He sings again, which I thought was going to be awkward, but then inexplicably all of the parents join in, which was silly, but kind of cute. But then Josh, I think, says the password again for some reason. And he's been feeding Kate, the dog, under the table, but he reaches down to feed her something, and a hand grabs him, and he freaks out. Now, mind you, he is stoned, and they don't know, they can't figure out what's going on, but it's still at that dinner, isn't it? It's at this dinner, isn't it, that the Rowan's dad slices Josh's arm with a knife twice?
Just reaches out and cuts his arm just very, very quickly, and does it twice. And like, what the hell, Dad? And, he runs off, and Dad's kind of confused, right? He's a little like, he's not fully possessed yet. He's kind of coming in and out of the possession. He's like, I don't know what's going on. And they're awfully forgiving.
Well, they are. Like, I think Sharon, the mom, kind of ushers him away and says he's not feeling well or something. And that kind of ends the dinner. And, they want to get Josh to a hospital, but the snow has blocked the roads and they can't get a plow out there. So Sarah shows up at some point. I don't remember when it is. Maybe it's this night. I don't know. But they go off their separate ways, and Rowan's parents talk, and Sharon says something about Josh. Like, she doesn't like him. She's been pretty cold to him throughout so far. And she says, yes, Josh is attractive, but is that it? Honestly, like, I don't have kids, but I understand where parents come from. You want the best for your kids.
Yeah.
And here, Josh is a very good looking guy. He's very charming, but he's not working. He's a little flighty. I understand where the hesitation comes from, but ultimately, and I think that this is what you are supposed to learn from these movies, is that you have to just trust your kids.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do
about it. Yeah, and if they love somebody, like, you just have to do your best to love them too. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, that's going to have to be their mistake. Like, you can't
try to control.
You can't fix these things for your kids.
Yeah.
Trying to control it is not going to work out. There's a big gag that goes on for like 5 minutes where there's a lot of banging in the night, and it kind of sounds like sex banging, but the gag is that it, starts on one couple laying in bed, and they're like, oh my God. Like, I can't believe I don't even remember who it starts with, but the gag is that it goes through every couple, and it's none of them.
Yeah.
It's like a zombie girl beating her head against the wall in the hallway. but none of them know that. And then they all get up in the morning, and I think maybe Sarah came in the night. I don't know. Then Frank gets, he goes down. I guess he's having Wi-Fi problems. So he goes down to the router and says the word and gets totally possessed.
Wow. By the way, for an older guy, Frank is really techie.
Yeah.
I don't know many people his age who would like, oh, let me find the Wi-Fi router and see if I can fix this.
Yeah. And I'm looking at my notes, and I was conflating. There were 2 dinners,
Oh, right.
All of this stuff. It's actually the second dinner when he cuts the guy, and then this is where things start to go more off the rails. After he cuts him twice, he yells like supernaturally loudly. Like, I feel like the movie shows us like sound waves,
Right.
and it's so loud that it causes a cabinet to fall over and kill one of the little dogs, which, I hate violence against dogs in movies, but when you play it for comedy, and I thought it was so funny. They're like, oh no.
Bad things happen to these dogs. One of the dogs gets possessed. When does that happen?
I don't remember. It does. One of them gets possessed, and it's funny. But the next thing that I have in my notes after the little dog gets killed is Frank comes out naked and hard. And people, like, everybody's kind of upset. And this is where it starts. He says to the boys, "What are you crying about now, you fucking queers?" Like, and then from that point on, it's just a barrage of, "Don't touch me, you chocolate munching poof." And it's so funny.
It is.
After all that, Frank pukes all over, and one of the other dogs eats the barf, and that's what turns it evil.
That's it. He pukes up all that crazy noodles. To which the mom's like, "Crazy noodles? I just made a small bowl of it. It just kept coming and coming and coming." I kind of want crazy noodles now. It's just like every pasta she had in the pantry, just cooked up together and tossed together.
Yeah.
It looked like a mess.
Again, throughout all of this, there is dialogue that is so funny. Lisa Kudrow, everything she says is funny. And I, like you said, I don't know if it was written with these people in mind.
Oh, sure.
It either had to be that, or they allowed them to play.
That could be. Yeah.
It could just be good writing. Like you said, this guy wrote for SNL. So it could just be good writing delivered well. But I have a feeling that there was some collaboration.
Probably.
I don't know. It's just, it's so funny. I don't know. Frank, at some point, like, he's acting very ill. He's not well. He's not himself. He's feverish. He's sweaty. He keeps saying to his wife, who is legitimately concerned about him, he keeps saying he's okay, but we see like demon writing on his back.
Right.
That says, "I'm not okay." He's in his bed, and the demon taunts him. Like, the demon appears to him as kind of a demonic form of himself.
Yep.
And taunts him and tells him that he's going to eat his entire family, and then he's going to die. And these horror elements are silly, but they're treated. I don't know how to explain.
I mean, they're
it.
played straight, but you don't really take them seriously, I guess.
But the demon version of him looks scary.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look comical.
No.
Like, you could take that look and put it in a more straightforward horror movie, and it would still look good.
Yeah, but be scary. Exactly.
Right. And the effects, like most of the effects, some of them are goofy. Like when the dog eats the barf, like its eyes flash red, that's corny.
Mm.
And then that dog just randomly shows up at some other time later to attack Lisa Kudrow, and it's a funny, scary dog puppet attached to her arm, and she's like shaking it around.
I love that bit because then he grabs. Because then, oh, by the way, I absolutely love Dean. What's his name?
Dean Norris.
Dean Norris is so great. He's just like the kind of like overly chatty neighbor, kind of easygoing dude, but like, basically the dude from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And I just love him. And he just comes in and he grabs the dog and just starts bashing it with a hammer. "You don't do that to my wife. You don't do that to my wife." And nobody cares. They're like, "All right, well, we took care of that." They chuck it in the washing machine or the dishwasher. Again, that kept the movie light. The dog didn't belong to anybody, so nobody's like really heartbroken.
No emotional
when all these
stakes.
terrible things happen to this dog. But then at the end of the movie, Like, they had to get a little scene of after everything is all right again, that door pops open and the dog comes out unharmed. I was like, okay.
I thought it was actually kind of cute.
It was cute.
Because everything ultimately does work out in the end. Talking about him, the dad, that dad, I don't even remember at what point it comes. I think it's at some point when the crazinesses began. You know, of course, Sharon is struggling because her husband is possessed and she doesn't know what to do. She and Liddy have a lovely exchange. Before I get to that, at some point, the dad, Cliff, sits down with his son, Josh, and just has a warm heart-to-heart with him where he just tells him that he loves him. And I don't even remember in what context, but it's really sweet. And it sets up, that's, you know, his family may be quirky, whatever, but they just love each other and they know that and they tell each other that and they're there for each other no matter what. The dad makes that clear, no matter what happens. You know, I don't remember if he says that, but that's clear. On the other hand, the other family, it seems like Rowan's anxiety stems from the fact that he doesn't know that his family will be okay with it.
Yeah.
And that they will accept it no matter what. And I think that that's where the arc comes in. Of course,
Sure.
you know, Rowan's family, that's the lesson that they learn, that they do need to, you know, accept him and accept Josh and accept the family and everything. That's where it goes. But they both have to get there. And I think it's really sweet and cute that the two dads never have a heart-to-heart because the one dad is possessed by a demon, but the two moms do. They sit down and they have a heart-to-heart and they talk about worrying about their sons. But I think that Lisa Kudrow, you know, says something. I don't remember what she says. I just remember that the message is, you know, I love Josh and whatever he wants to do, you know, I support that. And eventually Sharon figures it out too. And the families work through all of this together. The dad becomes full out demon and they lock him in a room. There's also a couple of zombie. I don't know. Were those zombies or ghosts? I guess they were ghosts, right?
I guess. Yeah, they were ghosts. You mean that girl with the face? That's the
with no face.
with no
Like,
face. I think she's the
both
daughter.
of them. She is. Okay, so all of this stuff is going on. My other favorite joke, and I don't remember, Josh goes to try to talk to Frank, the possessed one, and he's trying to talk to the real Frank, and he's trying to tell him, like, you know, I really love your son and all of this stuff. And he says something like, I love your son, he's a great guy, but there's just one problem. And the dad says something like, Is it his dick? Is it too small? Is it too small for your butt? And
Oh my God.
I almost died laughing. He's like, no, Frank, the dick is fine.
And he's like, I don't know. I'm looking down at the dads, and if it's anything like this, it's too small.
Too small for your butt. Oh, God, so funny. So anyway, whatever, that happens. Eventually, the boys, the couple, they see a light outside, and they realize that there's like a guest house or something. And so they go down there, and they find Deborah in there. Deborah just tells them, like, very nonchalantly, the whole story. That she was best friends with the teenage girl who lived in that house. They were a very normal family. She was into the occult. When the teenage girl who lived there, I think her name was Jamie or something, I don't remember, it doesn't matter. When her mother didn't want her hanging out with Brenda anymore, she and Brenda conspired on how they would get back at the parents or whatever. And Brenda's like, I know, we could summon a demon.
Yeah.
So they do. So now we find out that that's what was happening in that cold open when the mom was banging on the girl's door. What was going on the other side of the door was Allie, the teenage girl, and Brenda were summoning a demon.
Yeah.
And they did. They had placed a protective circle around themselves when they summoned the demon, but obviously the family was outside of that circle, and the demon killed the mom and it killed the brother. And then when Allie was like, wait a second, I just wanted to scare them. And Brenda, she was like, I don't know. They seem pretty scared to me. Allie gets scared and she runs out of the circle, and then she got killed too. So now Brenda, apparently, I guess all of this time has been plotting a way to get a human host to this house so that she could free the demon into the world.
Yes.
Why? I don't know.
I still don't understand this. Why was she trying to do this?
I don't know. I think she's just like
Crazy.
evil.
She's just evil.
Yeah, and she wanted to summon a demon.
I thought she was.
Why she had to wait 18 years? Like, A, does she own this house? And if so, how? B, why did she wait 18 years to turn it into like a bed and B&B or whatever?
Because they're the first ones. She's like, oh, I thought it was going to take forever, but you just lucked out on the first try. Well, okay, so this isn't a thing you've been trying for a long time. It just didn't make any sense.
And who cares? I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, whatever. And so that's what's happening. She says she's going to the bathroom. And while she's in the bathroom, they're like, well, I guess we have to kill her. Like, if she's the one that's going to bring the demon. And she takes a long time and they open the bathroom door and she's gone and she's back up at the house. She's back up at the house. Now the snow has completely disappeared. They were in like feet and feet of snow. Now it's completely gone. And Parker Posey is standing outside the house in this crazy like priestess garb. Her hair is all wild as crazy. She looks hilarious. She's chanting, and the circle around the house catches fire at some point. I don't know.
Yeah. The thing is something like about the demon will be free when it leaves the circle. Was that the whole thing?
Right.
She's trying to get the demon outside of the circle.
And so Frank comes out. He bursts out of the room that they had him in, and he's slow marching towards the edge of the circle. And they have this demonology book, I guess, whatever. Rowan's looking in it, and he finds out that those ghosts in the house were not trying to scare them all along. They were really just trying to help. But he said something like, yeah, that was not clear.
Right.
That was really funny.
Which is hilarious because that also gets me to, everything I think about ultimately with these haunted house ghost stories. These ghosts that come back and scare everybody, but really they're asking for help. Like, why don't you guys just try not being scary?
Right. Get a pen and a piece of paper and write it down.
Right.
But this is the big end, and Rowan learns from the demonology book
very quickly.
He says to possessed Frank, like, hey, you don't want this body. It's old. I'm young and I can be more powerful. And how are you going to take over the world in that old gross body or whatever? Mm-hmm. And he says the chant, and the demon starts to come out of his dad and go into him. Now, before he did that, he said to Josh something like, I love you. I hope you'll understand that I have to do this. And so now the demon's going into him. So now Josh goes up and he starts saying the chant too. So I don't know, how would you describe it? It's like, it's not smoke, but it's like the essence of the demon.
Yeah,
it's like coming out of Frank's mouth and like going into now both Rowan and Josh's mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Then somebody else, I don't remember if it's Sharon or Liddy, somebody else steps in too. And what it all comes down to is that everybody in the family, including the friend, the Sarah, the friend, they all come in, and in all of them taking in part of it, it weakens it and kills it. Yeah, it confuses and weakens and kills it. It's silly,
but it's fresh. I thought it was kind of cool. I did really wonder how they were going to figure all this out, and I thought that was cool. Yeah. It's just floating around in there, and between them all, can't go from one body to the other, and finally it's just isolated, and it takes its true form of a bird, like a big bird demon thing, which we saw in the book. And Frank, that was his name, comes up and stomps on him, says, "My dick is big." Stomps on him.
That was funny. And meanwhile, Brenda is freaking out, and she's like, "You killed him. He was supposed to come out of the circle." And Lisa Kudrow says, "We made our own circle, bitch." Oh, I'm sorry. That's
not me.
I don't say it.
That's like her running gag.
Oh God, she says it several times. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And then they all hug and everybody loves each other. And Frank says to Rowan, "I love you." And Rowan says, "I know." And he says, No, you don't know. How could you know? Because I don't tell you. How could you know if I don't tell you? And like, it's all very kumbaya, but it's also, it's that type of movie. It's supposed to, these people are supposed to come together. They're supposed to learn the error of their ways. They're supposed to be a happy family at the end. And I found it very satisfying on that emotional family level. I also just found it to be a very funny movie. The very last, I think the last line is Parker Posey says,
"I'm beat, so I'm gonna scram." Whew. Check out set 11.
You're going to jail, you psychopath.
Write a review.
I have a review. Suck my dick. Sorry, I'm not myself this weekend.
And I wish that I could do a better Lisa Kudrow impersonation because she's hilarious. But you're going to have to watch it. And I 100% recommend it. Watch this with friends.
Yeah. I recommend it as a comedy. It's just a comedy.
And I think even your friends who aren't necessarily horror fans will like this movie because the emphasis is on the comedy. The horror elements are there, but it's in such a silly context that it's not scary at all.
And it's not gross and gory. So, pretty much anybody can.
Not really. There's some barfing, but
yeah.
Oh, gosh. I was looking forward to it because Lisa Kudrow and Parker Posey were enough to sell me. They did a movie together too in the 90s, Clock Watchers, which is an interesting dark comedy also that I would recommend. That was enough to sell me on it. And I knew, I recognized the other actors. I knew that they were, good actors. So I was looking forward to it. And to say that I was pleasantly surprised wouldn't even be true. I expected to like it, and I did. I liked it very much, and I would recommend it to just about anybody.
Yeah, I echo that. I liked it a lot. It was just fun. It was light, nothing deep, nothing super scary, but clever and cute. And I don't know why it would get any hate at all, honestly. So, I feel the same way you do. Highly recommend. Well, thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend. You can find us online. Just Google Two Guys and a Chainsaw Podcast. You'll find our website, which has been recently refreshed. There's a link on there for you to click through to all of our back episodes. You can leave comments. You can click the Talk to Us button and chat with us directly. That basically allows you to record a quick up to 90-second MP3 file that immediately gets sent to us. You don't need to install special software, log into anything to do that. And we will definitely play it here on the episode and respond to you. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Chainsaw Podcast. Go on over there and for just $5 a month, join the inner circle. Until next time, I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
With Two Guys and a Chainsaw.